World War I. Not only the greatest conflict the human race had ever experienced, also the war which was supposed to eliminate even the concept of war itself. This was of course an hypocrisy, used often to convince the soldiers to fight another day and to blame history or destiny for the loss of another relative. If this reminds you of someone that lately said, "Prepare to lose your most dears," you are not going crazy. It's the same idea of, this is what has to happen so that everything will ever get better. But right now I'm not going to talk about the British politics. In this video we are focusing on a film, a masterpiece, called The Great Illusion. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as much as my Italian accent allows you to. War. That is the first concept that the movie introduces. Right at the beginning we see a group of French officials reunited under the same roof to get to know each other and prepare for the next operations. What we see is people who are trying to do something, people who believe that their actions can change the course of the war, of history, and so of the world. It's important because this team will come back at the end of the picture. We don't really see much of what they are planning, because after a few minutes they receive a message from a German soldier who announced that they have occupied the area, that the place is surrounded, and that the Germans are going to take every French soldier and move it to a specific location inside the German lines. In a matter of seconds we jump from the French pub to the German prison. This is something the movie does a lot, jumping long period of time in just a scene cut. The protagonists are going to spend most of the movie time inside this location. They are obviously going to try and escape, but I would advise you not to get fooled by this escaping action direction the story is taking. The idea of getting out of problems can go from the practical situation the characters are in to basically anything. It could even be a metaphor for life, with the prison being the symbol of the difficulties and the action being the struggle for everyday life. It doesn't really matter, because the film is actually presenting the second illusion, the escape itself. To the characters, it's not crucial what they're going to do after they escape. They say that they will be returning to the army and get back into the war, but actually there is an effort for freedom. What one of the French soldiers even says is, "A golf course is made for playing, a prison is built to get out of it." War was the first illusion, this is the second, and it will be broken after a few months of working on the construction of a tunnel, when the protagonists are moved to a different facility a bit more inside the German war borders. They end up in an old and cold German fortress, where they meet a Prussian general called Rothenstein, from the noble class, where all the other French soldiers are part of the lesser rich classes, except for one, Boidieu. From Rothenstein's perspective, they basically come from an ignorant and poor mass. They don't really deserve to be captains and lieutenants. From his point of view is constructed the second most beautiful scene in the movie, when we are part of a discussion between the two enemy and noble officers, Boidieu from the French and Rothenstein from the Germans. On one side, we have Rothenstein's critique of a society that is falling apart, because the old structures no longer have meaning. In this case, it's the nobles, which don't anymore occupy the role they once had. Then we have Boidieu, who is also a noble, but he can see the great possibility that democracy and participation of all classes offers. I don't think that their speech was ever meant to be an illusion. I think it was hope. Hope of something better. If people can actually get together. Something that they still share, but sometimes is hard to see. A few scenes later, Boidieu uses the relationship with his enemy colleague Rothenstein to distract him and part of the guards, taking an attempt to escape, while the others jump down the opposite wall, using a rope that they made in the previous days. Unfortunately, Boidieu is then shot from the Germans in a fast and very dramatic scene, and will die inside the enemy lines. But his death will help the others go and face the last illusion. Peace. At this point of the movie, only 2 French soldiers remain. They don't really know where to go. In the meantime, it's winter, Northern Europe winter. It's damn cold. One of the 2 men has a broken ankle. He fell because of the homemade rope, so he always needs the help of the other to walk. The actor was so good on this part that you can feel the pain as he tries to walk and go forward but can't, so he constantly has to stop to sit down. It's really painful to watch. Eventually they reach a house in the countryside. Inside, they find a young woman with an even younger child. To most viewers, this part of the movie that feels like an hour when it's actually not that long will probably be boring. It's not your fault, it's a very slow and calm section. Modern viewers are not used to that. Nothing seems to happen, and it probably doesn't. But would you be surprised if I told you that these scenes are fundamental to understand the whole movie? They are. The themes in this part are connected to what I said at the beginning. At first, we had war, and now we have peace. Peace is what the protagonists find inside the 2 girls' house. Together they find happiness, but it's just an illusion. The war is still going, and when the snow slowly melts and the path is clear, the French soldiers are reminded of something that they tried to forget in those beautiful months. They are indeed soldiers. They have to fight. If they go back, when they go back, they won't find happiness. They'll find armies, they'll find war, and the struggle will be the same again. The 2 leave, and one of them kisses the young woman goodbye, and the movie ends. So now I ask you, is this really what is destined to happen, or could the soldiers stay and be happy? At the end, who was right? Is it Rothenstein? Society is at a breaking point, and it will only go worse. There's no hope. Or is it Bourdieu? Have people together the chance to build something worth dying for? What about us? Can we find happiness, despite how hard it can be, if we decide that we shouldn't be alone in this world, if we decide not to fight each other? Or is it all just an illusion? I won't give you my answer, because you have to decide for yourself. I just tell you this. If you'll ever decide that a better world is worth fighting for, I promise you, I'll be with you. I'll be at your side, and I promise, together, we will never, ever be alone.